On a Sunday afternoon, the Cubs 2023 over-under win total came out on FanDuel. To say I'm depressed, concerned, and nervous would be a dramatic understatement. On today's program, we are going to discuss that, break that down, and try and figure out why. Please join us.
Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Cubs alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. Pleased to be with you for a Tuesday episode. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. And that passion is sure to show with this episode. Thank you whenever and wherever you may be listening. Shout out to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and more. And on Sunday, FanDuel released their team win totals for the 2023 MLB season. So without further ado, we're going to reveal the over-under win total for the Cubs, and then we're going to react to it before we get into some April schedule previews to kind of back up and take a peek at what we're trying to talk about here. So, Sam, this just came out. It's fresh to our feed and our FanDuel app. FanDuel now, we're powered here at Locked On Cubs by FanDuel.
Just say the number.
And the over-under regular season win total for the Cubs is 75.5.
No, it isn't.
No, it is. It just opened at 75.5. A little low.
A little. All right. First of all, this is a much bigger deal to me than it is to you, so don't laugh at me.
I'll try not to.
I want to preface my statement by saying what I'm about to say is not critical of the people making that. It's out of fear and respect to them that I'm so concerned. These guys and gals, whoever creates these over-unders at these Vegas, whatever, are usually smarter than I. And last year, if you remember, we all were like 70. I think it closed at 72. 72.5. That's so low. I put my life savings on the over, and it took till the last game of the campaign to cash. These guys don't miss often, okay? For that number to be that low is terrifying to me. They won 73 baseball games last year, Matthew.
74 and 88.
Oh, they won 74. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Oh, so 73.5 then.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Even worse. So they won 74 games last year.
Yes.
Subtractions, Wilson Contreras. Additions, Taillon, Swanson, Bellinger, Mancini, Boxberger. I'm not counting Hosmer. I don't think he helps much. That's worth 1-2 wins in your over-under from last year to this year? 2? That is mystifying to me. If you were to say, Sam, what would you guess it would be? I know the national audience and the Vegases of the world aren't as excited as we are because they're not invested in the team. There's no bias. So I had it, for me, I think 500 is the over-under for me. But if I had to guess what Vegas put it at, I'd say, and we did this off the air when you told me to guess, I said 79.5.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I saw some 79.5 elsewhere.
There's one other book with 78.5.
Yeah, that number seems understandable. 75.5 is scary low. I know I'm probably overreacting, but I trust these guys. They just don't miss that often, right? And we're hoping, not only are we hoping to go over, we're hoping to smash it by 12 games. And,
right,
I'll let you react to it and then I'll keep going.
Well, it is frightening because I didn't expect the over-under to start with the number 8. I didn't think an 80.5 was possible in my own fan brain.
Yeah,
that's the over-under for me.
Me too. 500.
Or maybe I would just 80 or 81.5, whatever. I thought it was going to be more the high 70s. There was one other book that was kind of always first to put it out, and then FanDuel releasing on Sunday. Again, we're building to the season. We went over the division odds and the award props last week, and they also just put out Rookie of the Year stuff. And over-unders is a big one. That's right. A big day. This is a big episode.
Yeah, huge.
And for that number to be in the mid-70s is mystifying. I think you already used that word, so I'm going to steal it. But I'm flabbergasted. I'm baffled. I'm now concerned.
Bamboozled.
And is this going to be a long summer? Because for the sake of this great program, and for the sake of my mental health and my Cubs fandom and my spring plans and my summer plans,
my physical health.
Yeah, I was really, really excited. And I still, again, does this take away from my excitement? No. But now I am very antsy.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to give you some inside scoop if you're still with us 6.5 minutes in.
Yeah.
We recorded our Monday episode at noon Sunday.
Yeah.
And during the recording, the FanDuel over-under totals were released. And I told Sam, and we were so antsy that we had to record. So literally, it's 1:00 Sunday as I'm talking to Sam. We had to record right away.
I was freaking out.
I've been pacing back and forth in my place here in Crystal Lake, IL.
I took half a pill.
By the way, there's still a ton of snow outside of my complex. Okay, no difference 1 hour later.
Okay, so let's get into the bare bones of this just briefly.
Why is it so low?
Okay, great question. So first, just to give our listeners some hope, there are examples of them missing badly, and I'm just going to make a quick NBA. I know.
Please.
So, because I love to bet over-unders before the season in sports. The Sacramento Kings had an over-under, and they're in a similar position with the Cubs going into this year, where everyone's like, this is going to be this should be the year that they're pretty good. They should be improved, whatever. And their over-under opened at 33.5. And the NBA people were just, what? That's crazy. That can't happen. And they are 48 games in right now, and they are 27-21. They're going to smash that over-under. And many people, including me, hopped on that right away. So there are examples of messing this up. So don't be too upset. The only thing I could think of is obviously not being huge fans of Swanson and Taillon, because Swanson and Taillon, forget the other moves. That's what should take the over-under to the 76, 77, 78 threshold from 74. Swanson is a four-war player, and Jameson Taillon should be a 3-war pitcher. So that right there doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And Bellinger as well, those three. I also think, we're so close to it and we really understand what Jed's trying to do with the run prevention and defense and stuff. And I do think FanGraphs and these things have been a little bit lower on the Cubs than we are. And I do think that is probably okay in the long term, because we understand Jed is trying something this year with Bellinger in center, Swanson at short, Horner at second, and a bunch of ground ball pitchers, and just seeing how they could ace run prevention. The big risk, of course, is, well, without shifting now, what if guys are just hitting the ball up the middle all the time, and you can't prevent these balls from getting to the outfield? And then the other concern on the offensive side of the ball is not enough power. So we'll see. I will jump on this probably, tonight, if possible. I think it's wrong. I also have talked about so much, like, how important it is to be in a season where you're trying to win. Whereas last year they made a run in September almost on accident, right? Like it was like Samson was so good. It was almost on accident. And maybe that's where Vegas is like last year they were really a high 60s team. So they are going to be improved, but they shouldn't have won 74 last year. But this is not a team that should go on a 10-11 game losing streak like they did last season. They have, my whole thing on this team the whole year is a high floor. They're a high floor team across the board. Their pitching staff is full of competent guys. There's going to be no swarmers making big starts, right? The infield is full of highly competent guys, maybe outside of third. The outfield is very good. The bullpen we've talked about, it just to me, it seems like a team, if all goes well, could be in the mid 80s to high 80s. If all goes poorly, I could see mid 70s. But you put the middle, it's 79.5, 80 would be the number.
Yeah, the mid number wouldn't be 75.5? Yeah, because that means their floor is in the low 70s.
Right.
And I know they ended the second half off in a strong fashion, and it's not that they padded their season win total, but
a little bit though.
Yeah, a little. And they finished so strong, and it was a little bit deceiving, right?
Sure.
So the 74 wins, yeah, there's a little bit of deception there. But the 75.5, for that to be 1.5 wins greater than the 2022 finisher is a shock. And then you ask about, well, if we're thinking 86, 87 to get into the tournament, then how do they make up 11, 12, 13 games? You just explained that a little bit right there. And obviously it's going to take some big campaigns from even not only the additions, but the current players the Cubs had even entering the offseason. So 75.5 is the Cubs total. We're going to continue to react and reveal the 4 other NL Central totals right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And boy, have they caused a stir this episode. We are really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sports book in America. It's so cool to be partnered with FanDuel. Last week, we did division odds. We did MVP and Cy Young props. They've also released Rookie of the Year props and now over-under win totals. Of course, we're in the midst of NBA season, NFL playoffs. They have so many features that make betting on sports fun and easy. And new customers can join today and get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. This is all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use, so don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Locked On Cubs.
Matt, I just want to, before we get into the NL Central stuff, I just want to say too, and we'll talk about this later on with the schedule, as much as they did pad a little bit in September, they also lost a lot of games in April and May that if they were really serious about winning, they just wouldn't have dropped. I mean, I remember a series against Arizona last year. They had like a 3-0 lead, and they were just pitching whoever late in games and blew the game. And there was at least like 5 or 6 games. I remember both games at Wrigley against the White Sox, the one game at Guaranteed Rate Field against the White Sox, where it's just like there were a lot of like, the Cubs, I always said this last year, remember? The Cubs were not as bad as the record showed. So when they went on that run in September, I wasn't surprised. They were never one of the worst teams in the league. They didn't get blown out of that many games. They had a lot of close games. They played Milwaukee well. They won a series in St. Louis. So even though, yes, they did win when it really didn't matter in September, that over-under to me seems egregious. And I'm just going to flat out say it. I'm not going to beat around the bush anymore. I think they missed it. And we're going to be a much better team than that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that from you. I know it's been definitely a wave of emotions the last 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And 75.5
If this is a 75
should we make a
win
shirt
team,
that says 75.5?
if this is, you know what? If this is a team that is on pace to win 75 or less ball games in the middle of the summer, I may go out and try and get a girlfriend.
Okay. Well, I don't know what to say to that. So there is 4 other teams in the NL Central. Okay. Would you like to guess, or do you want me to reveal and we can react, or what should we do both?
St. Louis 89.5.
Okay. It's 88.5.
88.5.
Yeah, you were close.
Milwaukee 85.5.
86.5 for Milwaukee.
Oh,
hammer the under, folks.
No.
What?
No, and you can clip this.
What the hell?
You could clip this.
And
you
speaking of hell, part of the show. Christian Yelich.
If the how are the Brewers projected to be 11 games better than the Cubs? I understand that they got a better manager and some great pitchers. There are sponsors. That's asinine.
Okay.
And March 30th, we're going to be ready to tell them about it.
Let's go.
All right, Pittsburgh. Yikes. I'll say 70.5 for the Pirates.
68.5. You gave them a little more credit than they were due.
Pittsburgh's going to be better than that.
I think they will be.
Pittsburgh's not going to win less. Pittsburgh's going to be better than that.
How about the Reds?
Cincinnati, our buddy Jeff.
Could be the worst team in the league.
Have some Skyline chili and watch the sunset over the clouds, and maybe take a drive to your local convenience store. It's going to be, for the Reds, I'm going to say 63.5.
62.5.
Yikes.
It's putrid.
And I got to tell you.
Take the under.
Might want to go under on that.
Okay.
Cincinnati, the Nationals, Oakland, Colorado. Those 4 teams. Hey, here. If you're listening on audio, it's a thumbs down for those ball clubs.
I did want to let you know, according to FanDuel, the highest over-under right now is this club with 96.5. There's some good
It's still
candidates.
Houston, probably, right?
Oh.
It's not Houston.
Not quite. They're 95.5.
Yeah, I was just thinking because of their divisional odds so much. 96.5. Well, then it's got to be one of the crazy National League high teams.
Right.
The Mets?
The Dodgers.
The Dodgers are still 96. I was going to say them second. That's just so much respect for an organization that knows how to win, but that seems a little high to me. What's San Diego?
94.5.
Oh,
so are the Mets.
And we're sitting on the other side. Help us. 20 games.
The Braves are 95.5.
Yeah, I'm sure Philly's in the low 90s.
That's actually a good one. 89.5.
Yeah.
So
what can I just food for thought? Rays, Yankees? Just curious on that.
So the Yankees are at 94.5, and you wanted the Rays?
And then the White Sox.
90.5 for the Rays. So 4 games.
90.5, that's an over.
And then the White Sox are 83.5.
What a mediocre franchise.
Guardians 86.5, 3 games better.
All right, why don't we break down? You lead us. We're going to do some April scheduling.
All right, so let's
the Sox.
given the 75.5 total.
Oh,
and what we've talked
83.5.
A little bit about on this show before is the importance of getting off to a good start. And it is hugely important. I have my yellow legal pad here.
I love when you bring that out.
With all the April series, and I've already given the Cubs records on how they're going to do in those series.
I love it.
So we're gonna give you these series and an April record for the Cubs. There's 28 games in the month of April. We do that next. Today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Looking for a delicious treat but don't want all the fat and calories? Then you got to try a Built Bar. It's healthy. It's actually tasty. It's 100% real chocolate. Unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. You don't need to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars at Built.com. Now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club as well. There's 4 bar box options in the stores of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. So go get a Built Bar today at Built.com or your local Walmart or Sam's Club. Built Bar. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. This is a Tuesday episode as we continue to react to the over-under win totals for the Cubs, which is 75.5 wins. And we're going to go over the first month of the schedule, Sam, which actually starts in March on March 30th.
I think I know most of it off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, it's 3 games with Milwaukee.
Yeah, so I'll go with what I know and what I think they should do, and then you tell me what you got.
Please.
So I'll say Milwaukee at home. I'm going to lowball them just for the sake of the episode. I'll say they lose 2 out of 3 that series. Then I think they go to Cincinnati. I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's for 3.
It's for 3. Let's just group that together. Say that should be a 3-3 stretch.
Okay, I am at 4-2.
Okay, I'm going to say 3-3. Then I know they come home for a homestand against the AL West. I'm not sure. Is it Rangers then Mariners?
It is. So an off day on the 6th and then 3 games each with the Rangers and Mariners.
So that's a 4-2 stretch right there. So that's going to be.
And I have them at 3-3. So now we're even down.
Okay, so I'm no mathematician, but I got them at 7-5 through 12. That's what I know. That's what I memorized. So.
Then another off day on the 13th, followed by 3 games at the Dodgers. I have them losing that series 1-2.
Yeah, let's hope we can win 1 there, right?
Yeah,
and that's where it becomes really important to schedule manage. The difference between winning 1 and getting swept is huge. So that puts you at I think we both have them at 1-2. So 7-5 becomes 8-7.
And I personally, I went with a little more conservative approach on both sides. I don't have any sweeps for the Cubs or them being swept at all here.
Yeah.
Then they go from LA to Oakland, 3 games with the A's.
Yeah, that's again, I agree with you.
You got to win the series.
Yeah, no, that really could be a sweep, but let's not. So we're gonna have them at 10-8.
Okay. Then the Cubs go back to Wrigley, no off day. So A's back to Wrigley to play the Dodgers in a 4-gamer, April 20th through the 23rd.
Yeah, so that's going to be.
You got to split.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go 1-3.
No. Outside of last season, they typically play the Dodgers well at Wrigley. I think it's safe to go split 12-10.
Okay.
That's by the way, that's bad. That's bad scheduling.
Weird.
Right there. You go Oakland back to LA, or back to Chicago, no off day to play that team.
Yeah, that's going to be
But
tough.
it's good to catch the Dodgers. You know what though? It's not the worst thing in the world to get rid of the Dodgers in April.
Done. Yeah.
Because they could get off to a slow start. Those teams get going May, June.
Then you have an off day on the 24th, followed by another home series. The Cubs are home a lot in the first month. 3 games against the Padres, the San Diego Fathers. I have them losing that series.
Yeah, I think they could sneakily win that series, though. Again, great time to get the Padres. You're getting them in April at Wrigley Field. They're not going to want to hit that. You could easily win that series. But again, I think lowballing is always the best case. We'll say 13-12 through 25.
And finally, the Cubs finish out the first month of the season at the Miami Marlins for 3 games on the 28th, 29th, and 30th. I have them winning that series to finish 15-13 in the month.
And I agree with that. And then, so I think 15-13 for the month is a really, really good baseline. If I were to make my over under on the month, I'll say 14.5, including obviously the March game. And that right there, if you last year, what were they after April? Like if you just get through that first month around, that makes it a lot more likely you're going to win more games. You're not going to be trading guys. That's why I just think that over under is just a little bit crazy to me. But I like that. That's, you know what? That's a really good first month because You have some series that you feel really good about. And listen, I know the Rangers and Mariners on paper, people are like, Sam, what are you talking about? Rangers, Mariners, those are hard series. In April, they're not that hard a series. They're going to be playing here. They're not going to want to be here. It's going to be freezing.
Yeah,
it's early in the season. You want to get those. Like the Cubs are getting some really tough series out of the way early, and I just think that I agree with what you said. I just think that over under's low, man.
Maybe Sampson will beat DeGrom again.
Maybe right. When they play the Rangers, it stinks to play Milwaukee opening weekend because you got to face those three in order. But they handled them last year, so
I am excited for baseball.
No, I'm excited, and we're not gonna be a 70-win team.
Okay. Thanks everybody for tuning in to a Tuesday episode. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for Locked On Cubs on YouTube and smash the like button. We just make the push to 100 plus likes every episode. Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your pods. And you can drop us a text or leave a comment on YouTube. Let us know 75.5 what you think of that win total. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Now make your second. Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. Locked On MLB Prospects, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Any final thoughts?
84 wins.
Here we go. For Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.